everyone? Welcome back to Big Mike Sports. We are Atlanta born, Carolina raised, and Detroit driven. And I'm your host, Big Mike, often imitated but never duplicated.
The one and only. Yeah, I'm back!
And we got hit over the head with a hammer with some pretty big news today as the Lillard trade went through to the Bucks of all teams. The Blazers finally able to trade away their disgruntled superstar point guard. And in return, they received Drew Holiday, who they are immediately trying to ship off to reportedly the 76ers, among other contenders. DeAndre Ayton, the most unmotivated player in the entire NBA when he was with Phoenix. Couple of draft picks, I think mostly draft swaps, and then the Suns, who were the third team involved in the trade, somehow make it away with Yusuf Nurkic, Grayson Allen, Nasir Little, and Keon Johnson, and that is quite the haul for the Suns. If you're not even all that involved with the trade, really, besides trading off Aiden, that's a pretty good return for shipping off your disgruntled center there. Not only do you get his replacement potentially in Nurkic, but you also get a couple of pretty key contributors there in Grayson Allen and Nasir Little. And Keon Johnson, maybe a little bit of a prospect, but still, what a haul. What a haul for the Suns. It seems like the Suns really won this trade. The Bucks, if they can get the full use of Lillard and he's committed to the team, that'd be pretty good for them to pair with Giannis there, since he's been wanting some stars to come and help him out. But if it doesn't work out and Lillard is not ecstatic to be there and enthusiastic about it, then they're going to have two disgruntled superstars to deal with, as Giannis has made it clear that he either wants to win or go somewhere else and win. He would love to do it with the Bucks, see if the Bucks are able to put it all together. They suddenly become a huge favorite in the East. I'm not sure if I exactly buy that. That's going to be more of a wait and see thing. I think I would rather fade them to win the East rather than pick them to win it, because the odds are so huge right now. But yeah, very interesting development there. The Heat get screwed. Everybody thought that the Heat would be able to get the job done, and honestly, I kind of like the Heat package better for the Blazers than what they ended up getting. We'll have to see what the return is for Drew Holiday, but overall, interesting trade. The Suns really bolstered the rest of their roster. They're ready to make a title run of their own, and the Bucks get that superstar they were wanting. So, but anyway, now to get on to the main topic of today, and that is the pivotal matchup between the Lions and the Packers tomorrow on Thursday Night Football. The Lions going in, trying to upset the Packers at home once again, as they did at the end of last season. But this time, instead of just trying to deny the Packers a spot in the playoffs, they are going for the top spot in the division. This game's for sole possession of first place, so huge game, probably the biggest game of the early season, and this could be the biggest game of the entire season for the Lions, because if you win this one, you get control of the division, for the rest of the season, really, as long as you win the rest of your divisional games. And looking forward at the Lions' schedule, it's really not that bad of a schedule now that the first quarter of the season has almost played out. You're looking at playing the Vikings twice at the end of the year, which looked like it could be a tough matchup, and it still could be if the Vikings are able to put together a little run to get their season back on track. But all of a sudden, that doesn't look as scary as it once did. And then, of course, there's that game against the Cowboys, which will really be for all the marbles and really show what the Lions are capable of doing, as that'll probably be an early preview of a playoff matchup, honestly. It would be really interesting to see if the Lions and the Cowboys got matched up in the playoffs after, all the history between the two teams. Those two teams, they used to play each other in the playoffs quite a bit, and, we're obviously thinking of the Des Bryant Cowboys game and the no call there.
That's terrible.
After this week against Green Bay, you got at home against Carolina, at Tampa Bay. Playing the NFC South, really a good draw for them this year, because the NFC South, not the greatest division in football. Obviously, Tampa Bay and the Saints have had some kind of surprising victories, but by the time that the Lions get to them, who knows where they're going to be at. At the Ravens being very injured, a lot of injuries on that team, so who knows what kind of strength they'll have when they play in that one. And then against the Raiders, at the Chargers, which is kind of a toss-up for me. They could very well lose that game. I wouldn't be surprised if they did. But then at home against Chicago, at home against Green Bay, Chicago again, Denver. This is a pretty easy schedule. If the Lions can put it together, they could really go on a run here for like 12 or even 13 wins. Who knows? Not to look too far ahead. You obviously really want to win this one to really make it known what kind of team this is and what kind of run they could possibly go on. But if they're able to win this game and take control of the division, it's going to be in their hands. They're going to control their own destiny. And it wouldn't be, the most difficult thing in the world to win the division at that point and potentially even get a one seed in the NFC. I mean, we'll see how the Eagles are going to end up. Their offense, their running game, really good, but sometimes they do struggle to put points up on the board. And Hurts has kind of struggled passing the ball a little bit this year too. So we'll see how it all plays out. But the Lions, their destiny is in their hands. Like if they really want to make it to the playoffs and win that playoff game that they've been wanting to win for the longest time, this is definitely the year to be able to do it. There are a few injuries for the Lions still, but potentially a few guys could be able to come back. The biggest of them being David Montgomery, the running back who injured his thigh in that Seahawks game. Big time player for the Lions, workhorse running back. You really want to be able to see him get in there and carry the load of the offense so that Gibbs can kind of come in as the second fiddle and make some big explosive plays, not necessarily have to have the ball in his hands all the time, but as a nice change of pace to catch the defense off guard. And then also a Taylor Decker will be, looks like he's going to be playing. So the offensive line will be at full strength once again. You'll be able to have Decker at left tackle and Sewell at right tackle where they started the year. And then the only other addition would be Glasgow in there. So all the starters plus Glasgow is what we're looking at there. Not that the O-line did too poorly in the last game with a bunch of people out, especially at right tackle. Their right tackles just kept going down and down. They ended up having to put Sorsdahl in there. But having your full strength offensive line, really the heart of the team, really, setting the line of scrimmage for your run game and protecting the passer, that'll be huge for the Lions to be able to win this game. And then for Green Bay, you also have a couple of key pieces who are priming to return with Aaron Jones and Christian Watson. Really surprising that Green Bay was able to win that game against the Saints in such a insane come behind fashion, considering half of their offense was out. So they'll really be looking at Aaron Jones and Watson being able to return and make a big impact against this Lions team. And honestly, they'll probably need them because the Lions' run defense has been really good this year so far, and then they've been kind of against the pass. They haven't been the greatest, so Jordan Love will definitely want as many weapons as he can get to spread the field and try and affect it that way. But with the Lions defense putting in such a great performance last week, they'll have a lot of momentum. So hopefully they'll be able to ride that wave and shut down the Packers offense, which doesn't get a whole lot of yards. Honestly, I mean, Jordan Love has gotten some touchdown passes, 7 touchdowns to 1 interception, but he doesn't get a whole lot of yards. I think that the Packers offense only putting up like 300 yards a game right now or something like that. So as long as the Lions don't turn the ball over themselves, Goff's had a couple interceptions so far this year, and there have been some fumbles as well. As long as you don't turn the ball over and give the Packers really good field position, you should be able to keep them out of the end zone, and keep them from getting into the red zone at all if they're not able to move the ball very effectively. Just limit their big plays, shutting down their run game as they've been trying to do for the first few games of the season, and really putting the ball in the quarterback's hands. Let's see Jordan Love really be under pressure for the whole game. I mean, he had that second half comeback against the Saints, but the Saints offense isn't the Lions offense. I want to say that the Lions offense is at least a little bit better than the Saints offense in terms of ball control. This is a very, very potent offense for the Lions. They can hold the ball and play time possession, or they can make the big plays. I mean, we've seen some huge plays and other opportunities for huge plays off the play action game. The Laporta touchdown last week, a huge one. And then, frankly, there have been some big plays that were left on the field with some drops earlier in the year. So a very dangerous offense for the Lions, especially if they can connect on some of those big plays. Really excited to watch this game because of the implications and also just because of the pride on the line. The Lions have been really good against the division under Dan Campbell, and we all hate the Packers as Lions fans. We don't want to see them win. They've ripped our hearts out enough times. This is the time for the Lions to take what they think is rightfully theirs, something that they've been kept from for such a long time, which is the top of the division, winning the division. And some guys like David Montgomery, he hasn't even beaten the Packers yet in his career. So you know that a lot of guys are really going to be showing up for this game. This is really going to mean a lot to the team. I think that they're going to give their best effort. And, you know, in terms of predictions for the game, it might start off like 7-7, but one side is going to score again, and that'll really determine how the rest of the game goes, whether the Lions will have to play from behind or whether they'll be the ones to get the lead. Hopefully, they get that early lead, and are able to improve upon it and play with the lead like they did last week. Um, and put all the pressure on Jordan Love to try and come back against that defense. If the Lions defense is able to hold like they did last week, that'll be really good for their playoff chances and for their playoff aspirations and probably championship aspirations. I mean, we don't want to go too far into what this team could be because we've seen disappointment time and time again. But I'm still there for the cautious optimism. I think that this team still has the chance to be really good, and if they win this game, I mean, the world will be in their hands, really. I mean, you look at the rest of the schedule, like I said, if you win this game, you're really not afraid of any team on that schedule. So this game will go really far in determining the seasons of both teams and should be just a really, really tight game all the way through.
Next question.
Now, in terms of key matchups for this game,
It seems to me like you're an expert.
this game is definitely going to be one in the trenches on either side on the line of scrimmage. There's still a couple starters out for the Packers on the offensive line, still being listed as out as they did not play in the last game. So if they are not able to play in this game, it's going to be a really tough day for the Packers offense potentially because that Lions D-line showed up last game with their 7 sacks, 2 from Hutchinson. The whole D line and linebacker core really got involved, really pouring it on the Falcons at the end. So if the Lions are able to stop the run as they have before, the Packers aren't the greatest running team on offense in the world anyway, and they put it on Jordan Love to really try and win the game. And the Lions D line's able to tee off on them. It'll be a really tough day for the Packers offense, especially if the safeties for the Lions play like they did against the Falcons, really making life miserable for the receivers, putting a hit on them every time they touch the ball and popping it out several times, and really just making big plays all over the field. So this could potentially, if everything goes right, be a huge game for the Lions defense, especially if some more of Jordan Love's weapons aren't able to take the field due to injuries. So really looking at that one. And then with the Lions offensive line being healthy, only Glasgow being the only reserve that's going to look like he's going to play in the game, they'll really need it because the Packers defense is pretty tough. Their defensive line really gets after the quarterback, really, really eager to get after the running back as well. This is a really good passing defense for Green Bay, but their rushing defense has not been the best so far this season, giving up about 136 on the ground per game. If the Lions are able to establish a run game and really control this game, this could be one of those, just low scoring, just bleed the clock out, like 2.5 hour games. If the Lions can hold on to the ball like we know that they can, it could be like a 21-17 kind of game. I mean, you can't count out the Packers from any game. I mean, we've seen it already this year, them able to come from behind. So you really got to be careful if you're Detroit and you're playing with the lead. Really got to take care of the ball. Really got to bleed the clock and hold on to the ball. Have some long drives. But if you're able to come in and break their will early, that would be really ideal for their game flow situation. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they Lions come out on the first drive. They try and run it a couple times. Maybe see if you can get a little success there, maybe a little quick pass. And then as soon as they get their first down, just go on a play action shot play for the end zone. I mean, go for the dagger early I mean, if you come in and you think, okay, we can own the Packers at Lambeau, kind of like Rodgers did with the Bears and stuff like that, that would go really far for the morale of this team and the culture and just the killer instinct that they're trying to impose there with Dan Campbell and his coaching staff. So really looking for the Lions to start out aggressive, to kind of set the tone for the beginning of the game, and then once you have the lead, be able to pound the rock with Montgomery if he's able to be healthy, and then change the pace with Gibbs. Gibbs is going to go off in one of these games. It's just a matter of time. He's shown a little bit of big playability already. He had some longer runs against the Falcons, and then I think it was the first game of the year he dropped a potential long bomb on a catch. So really looking forward to Gibbs and seeing if he can make an explosive play or two because it's coming. And then Amon-Ra still being able to stretch the field. Laporta coming out as this huge, huge weapon. Excited to see Laporta continue to go on a tear. So yeah, I mean it's a potent Lions offense. It's going to be a handful for the Packers defense, but still a good defense for the Packers. It'll be good on good for the most part. The key will be the Lions defense, I think, being able to contain Jordan Love. You want to keep the Packers defense on the field. That'll really negate any ability they have or advantage that they have. So those are the keys of the game. Just try and strike early, hold the ball after you've built up a little lead, and keep that Packers defense on the field. So yeah, really pivotal game for this season. Really hope that they win. That'll really set a nice tone for the rest of the year. And like we said, the schedule not the worst in the world. Really, really easy to see the Lions go on a run if they win this game and kind of run away with it. They could end up running away with the rest of the season, and the rest of the NFL should be scared if that happens. The Lions go in hot with the weapons that they have and the kind of mindset that they have. This could be a very scary team by the end of the season. The Lions are a 1.5 point favorite still. That number I think was at about 3 a few days ago, so that's a number that's coming down. People starting to bet the Packers, and the total is sitting at 46, so pretty low total. People betting the line down, betting the Packers. I would kind of prefer it if the Lions were underdogs in this game, honestly, like a 3 point underdog. Um, Not to say that the Packers are a better team than the Lions. I think that the Lions are slightly better. But in terms of point differential, the Packers are a little bit better. But these are two pretty equally matched teams, so it is going to be a close game. But I do like the Lions to win, maybe by 3 points, like 24-21, something like that. A really hard fought matchup in the cold of Lambeau, and we can't wait to see it.
Take him to Detroit.
So yeah, we're very excited to see the team play on prime time in the biggest game of the season so far. And win or lose, we always cheer them on. We're not gonna make any excuses though if there's a loss, but you know that we're gonna be excited if they win. So we'll see what happens. Have another show probably on Friday to go over what happened in the game. So we will see you then.